pricing or whatever that you have in dealing with that product.
Thank you. Let's talk a little more about forecasting and lead times. Manuel, back to you. You're saying you had some success because obviously lead times are getting longer, but yet demands are shortening, and it seems to me that a retailer is getting something from, if he's getting a product from overseas, it may not be on the shelf for many weeks or months, and I'm guessing they don't want to pay for it until it's on the shelf. So you've got these lead times and these billing issues. Tell us a little more about how these smaller orders more often help for you.
The problem with forecasting is when you forecast, it's very difficult to have the right forecast. As a matter of fact, it's almost impossible to have the right. And you keep a lot of inventory that you don't want, and on the other hand, you sometimes get short in what you need. So if you make smaller orders more often and you make the delivery time quicker, that gives you the ability to forecast, but in short periods of time, so that you can replenish the demand better than if you make a forecast for the next 3 or 4 months.
Okay, thank you. Larry, I'll direct this question to you next. In light of the fact that you've got a program on power tool accessories, that's a lot of SKUs in one program. It's got to be like herding cats, I think, to get all those products, to in a box and across the ocean at the same time. What challenges have you seen with that?
Well, I would agree with Manuel that forecasting is one of our hardest issues to deal with. Getting the software and so on to work for you and to develop the forecasting that you need. But we put a lot of emphasis on forecasting. We work with our customers to try and get the best possible numbers that we can. We massage them as an organization to figure out where we need to be. We go to our supplier partners and give them the ability to basically a commitment for products. So we say on an annual basis we'll need X number of drill bits, and they can then start to pre-purchase raw materials. We give them a commitment, even in the form of financial assistance or whatever, to go out and get the raw materials that they need to start the production process based on our commitments. And then we have the ability to change those commitments on a shorter term for highs and lows that we need in peak times and so on. But we give them a commitment. We know that we're going to go to the table for those orders. That has tremendously helped us get the lead time down and be able to manufacture the product within the time frames that we have. Because sometimes even meeting 90 days is a very difficult scenario for a lot of our suppliers. So in order to shorten those time frames down, our customers are demanding product on a more frequent basis, and also lead times of 90 days is becoming almost the essence of being unacceptable today, because other companies can get product into the supply chain sooner. So being able to forecast, give our suppliers the ability to move on the manufacturing process, that sometimes can take 30 or 60 days out of the entire equation. So I think it all stems down to having a great relationship with your supplier. And we have the ability to have both Asian-speaking people within our operations in Toronto and in the U.S., as well as bilingual people on the ground in China that really help us to communicate really the things that we need to have done, and that's taken a lot of stress out of our business.
Thank you, Larry. Greg, can you add to this?
There's a couple points. The devil in the detail of the forecast is you're banking on no quality issues. You're hanging it out there saying, all right, hell or high water, I'm going to hit this ship date with my package of drill bits or my package of screwdrivers or generators. But the reality of the equation is everything you can inspect till the cows come home, but unless you do 100% inspection, you're never going to catch everything. So there's always going to be some kind of a statistical fallout of issues. So the devil in the detail, at least from the QA side of the coin, is information feedback. That's probably one of the areas where the retailers have drilled down tremendously. They want the information now. They want it real time. If you do an inspection or an audit of a facility, they want that information within 24 hours, sometimes within 12, because they're making decisions and banking hundreds of millions of dollars potentially on the fact that that ship is going to make it across the pond, that container food gets stuff. So they want to know how to screen it, if they can screen it. If not, what's the contingency? Or do they have a contingency other than fallback fund to come up with a better plan? But I think one of the overarching things that's played into this is the, I don't know if it's a cliche term, a paradigm shift, but if you look at a retailer, when they've been in the catbird seat for a long time, they have essentially minimal liability and all of the power and the control over the supply chain. When you had a product that failed, ultimately it would go back on the manufacturer. And that transition that's transpired now is, well, the majority of the retailers are becoming manufacturers. When you have a private label brand, that OEM is you. so that level of scrutiny is increasing drastically because that information is even more valuable to them because it's their bottom line that's on the line.
Thank you very much. Let's talk a little bit about what's changing at the factory and what's the role of the factory. And Larry, you mentioned something about the more and more factories moving inland. Why was he moving inland? Why are some of your sourcing factories moving inland in China?
Well, the more populated areas, our labor costs have increased dramatically in the last 3-4 years, certainly. I mean, we went through a spike on raw materials and they have somewhat leveled off, but the expectations still for labor costs are still very, very high. There's a lot the human rights issues that we all face in manufacturing and so on. We all are scrutinized under, and we have more audits being done, as we talked about, from our own retailers. Sears, for example, it does a very detailed audit. And although some of the things that are on those infractions that are on those audits, we take them for granted and think they're very unnecessary. But it's like they're taking a North American approach to Asian manufacturing, and it doesn't always work from the perspective of those expectations. So we have been able to find other partners in areas where they have certainly a lot of labor available. And that labor is able to basically, develop and acquire product very, very quickly in order to build up, their own facilities and their own infrastructure in those areas. So you deal with the logistics side of moving inland a little differently than the product that is being manufactured right around ports.
Manuel asked the same question of you. It sounds like you finally got things figured out, you got your third-party support in place, and then, like Greg said, there was a paradigm shift, and things are changing again. So what have you seen, and how have you adapted?
With our products, they are not cheap products. So the labor, it's important, but it's not the main issue. So in our case, the company that we are dealing in China, they are not moving inland, or we are not looking for it in